channel. This is my 2022 MK8 GTI, and in this video I want to go over the 5 things I dislike, or there's really like 10 like minor gripes I have on my paper here, but this really took me a long time to think of you know, enough things I dislike about the car to actually make a video about it, because I genuinely think that this car is really good. I don't have really any issues at all with it, but I was able to come up with a few minor gripes. So let's first start off with number 1, and that is the low quality carpet. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. All right guys, so I have the monster mats in right now, and the floor mats that come with the GTI are actually really good floor mats. They're really plush and everything, but the actual carpet itself, like this carpet right here, is really bad. It's like the kind of carpet that you see in like trunks. Like, it's just really horrible Velcro type carpet. And the only reason why this might be an issue is if you like cleaning your own car like I do, you know, it makes it harder to get the crumbs and stuff out of the carpet when the carpet's like really bad quality like this one. So that's the first minor gripe. The second minor gripe, and this kind of has to do with me getting an S, which is the base model, is that smart key access is not standard. So on GTIs, it comes standard with so many nice features, you know, front parking sensors, heated seats, heated steering wheel, all kinds of premium nice features that you normally find in like higher end trims or luxury cars. But for whatever reason, Volkswagen decided to make the S model not have smart key access. So if it did have it, you see like a little tiny dimple on the door right here where you can lock it. Just a little thing like that is just kind of annoying because it's a convenience feature, and sometimes my hands are full and I have to dig in my pocket and get my keys out and everything like that. So it makes it a lot easier to just walk up and open the door. Another kind of gripe I have with the car is that the top speed is limited to 127. So when I'm flooring it on the freeway, if I go all the way up to the top speed, it stops at 127. And for this car, it gets up to 127 very quickly. So I feel like they should have made the top speed limiter at least, you know, 150. But in this case, this car comes with tires that are only rated for 130 miles an hour, so maybe that's why Volkswagen did that. I'm not sure. I do wish the top speed limiter was a little bit higher. And then kind of going on to that, it does have a rev limiter in park. A lot of cars do have this, but this one, the rev limiter is 4,000 RPM. So if you're free revving it, you can only rev it up to 4,000 RPM. You can't rev it up to like, you know, 5 or 6 or redline or whatever. So just a little minor gripe that can probably be fixed with a tune. For the next gripe, I want to go ahead and pop the hood for you guys. And this is another gripe I have, is this little hood prop here. Previous generation GTIs came with a hood strut, which actually mounted, I think, right there. So for the MK8 generation, Volkswagen decided to cheap out and put a hood prop on there instead of a hood strut. And it's not the end of the world. I don't even get under the hood that often, but it does kind of get in the way, you know, like it's right here, you know, it's not like a nice open engine bay. And then this hood, believe it or not, is actually pretty heavy. So when you open it up, it's pretty heavy to lift it up. Then you have to put the prop rod. And if your engine has been running, the prop rod will be hot, so that's another thing you have to watch out for. All right guys, for my other gripes, let's go ahead and hop in the interior and check it out. By the way, I do have a ECS Tuning Catback Exhaust on the car, if you guys haven't seen my videos. Okay, so next up I want to talk about the DSG. So this transmission is absolutely amazing. I have very little complaints with this transmission. However, there is one thing I don't like about it, and that is when it's cold and you're driving in like a parking lot. So what I mean by that is when you're driving through a parking lot, it's kind of lurchy and it kind of holds on to the gear. So like if you're driving around like for example, this parking lot here, it'll kind of hold the gear all the way up to like 3,000 RPM, and then if you let go of the gas, it's a little lurchy. Then it might be a little jumpy, like going in between first and second gear. But if you start it up and it's cold and you go straight out onto like the normal main street and you don't have to drive through any sort of like parking lot, it does drive super smooth and it warms up just fine. Next up, I want to talk about the infotainment. So I know a lot of people complain about the MK8 GTI's infotainment and the haptic touch buttons and everything like that. And I don't really have an issue with it at all. However, they do make it a little bit more complicated than some things should be. Like for example, these buttons here, it wouldn't be as bad if they were like the steering wheel buttons, because these ones you actually have to press it for it to work. It's not like a touch button. Looking down here, these buttons, so like they're touch buttons. So if you press it, goes to the climate screen, it's a complete touch button. So I kind of wish it was like the steering wheel where you have to actually press it, because sometimes you'll brush up against it or you'll tap it twice by accident, when it would make it a lot easier if you can actually like press the button. So it's just a little minor gripe, again, not a big deal. And then kind of going on to that, the drive modes. So when you start up the car, it will tell you that it's in whatever mode you left it in last, but it really isn't. So it will still be in comfort mode if you start it up and you're in sport mode or whatever. So you kind of have to press the button here, go to the drive modes, you have to go to comfort, and then back to whatever mode you want to be in. Or let's say you're in sport already, you have to go to like a different mode and then go back to it. So again, a tiny minor gripe, not a big deal, but it is something that I guess they could have done better. And then going on to the gauges here, you can see I have my miles to empty right there. And the reason why that's pretty good right now is because I've been driving it pretty conservatively lately. But this miles to empty is not accurate at all, because it'll tell you 290, and then if I go on this street and do a couple of 0 to 60s, it'll say like 240. So the distance to empty varies like way too much. In my Mustang, for example, the distance to empty was very accurate. The rating was more of like an average of like your past driving. This one, as soon as you step on the gas, the distance to empty will go down, and you know, it's not very accurate. I'd say the only way that this would be super accurate is if you're on like a road trip and you're at 70 miles an hour, you have your cruise control on, then the distance to empty might be somewhat accurate. But this is not really accurate at all. Going over to the side over here, we have our light controls. You can see here we have the fog lights. So in my Mustang, when I turn on the fog lights and I turn off the car and I get in the next day or whatever, if the headlights are on, the fog lights will come on with it. This car, you have to press the fog lights on manually every time. Again, not a huge issue. There's a lot of cars that are like that, but it is something that would be nice if, like, once you turn on the fog lights and you turn off the car, turn it back on, if the fog lights would stay on, if that makes sense. Another little thing I noticed is I do have sunglasses that I wear because in Vegas it's always sunny all the time. Well, for the most part, it's always sunny. And there's nowhere to put your glasses in this car. So I always put my phone right here, and I can put my glasses right here, but it's kind of in the way. And then I don't really want to put them in the center console. So there's no like pull out, or like there's no like upper console storage for sunglasses, or nothing on the side over here, anything like that. So I mean, I think Volkswagen could have came up with some sort of area in the car to put sunglasses, but there's no real place to really put your sunglasses unless you want to put them in the cup holder or something like that. For this last part of the video, I want to go for a little drive. I'm going to go get myself something to eat and just kind of talk about how everything's been going with the GTI and how I'm liking the new exhaust and everything like that. Alright guys, we are cruising the GTI. So far I've been loving this car. I need to do an oil change. So I'm going to take it to Volkswagen, because when you buy a new GTI, you get 2 free oil changes, and then if it's on your window sticker, they might have $140 for an additional like 3rd service. So mine did have that on the window sticker, so I have 3 free oil changes. So I'm going to get my second one pretty soon. I have 12,591 miles as of this video, and I've been putting a lot of miles on it. This car is really fun to drive, and the gas mileage is so good that, you know, I just want to drive all over the place with this car. I do see myself keeping this car for a while. I have been eyeing the 2024 Mustang and also an Audi RS3, but I'll think about getting those cars when they, you know, when the time comes. But I would have no problem keeping my GTI and saving up some money for the next couple years, you know, and maybe get, you know, something that's really fast or something really cool in the future. But if you guys are in the market for a GTI, buy one, because this car has been amazing. I find less things that I dislike about this car than I did my Mustang. And, you know, this is just like an economy car, sort of, and the Mustang is an actual sports car. So the space is good in here. For someone tall like me, there's lots of room inside. The back seat's a little snug, but, you know, if you have someone that's shorter in the front, it won't be a big deal. Headroom is amazing, and it looks like we have a GTI behind us. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a GTI behind us. That one looks really good. But yeah, overall, everything's been amazing. Let me know what you guys think of my gripes in the comments below. What are your gripes with your GTI if you have one? And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.